Thank you for your patience in allowing me to do this. It's been I think it's been over a year since we spoke last and we introduced the concept of the energetic heart and the 6 heart virtues. I'd worked on creating a presentation called Quantum Culture Beyond 2012, Navigating the Shift. Had to do with integrating the virtues into the new culture and the energetic shift that's happening. I wanted to postpone doing that in order so that I may give a speech verbatim from the man who created the When, Which, How Practice guidebook. His name is John Berges. John Berges passed away a month ago, actually a month ago today. And when I last spoke here and introduced the virtues, the concepts of the virtues, I used a little bit of John's speech, his preliminary speech before he gave this speech to the World Brotherhood Union in Istanbul, Turkey. And he made me promise that I wouldn't give the speech first before him, and I did. And I spoke to his wife a few days ago, Darlene Berges, and I asked her if I could give the speech, because the speech is so apropos and it shows the quality of the man as well as helping us to understand the virtues from his perspective, seeing how he worked on them for so long. But before I get into giving his speech, I wanted just to talk a little bit about John and a couple of the books that he wrote. He wrote. As you can see up on the screen, that's John Berges with me last May 2010 in Atlantic City. As I mentioned last time I spoke, I flew out to meet him and his wife in order to learn a little bit about him. So John wrote, he gave me 2 books when I was there. And these 2 books indicate the quality of the man's soul and his heart and where he was coming from. The first book that he wrote is called Sacred Vessel of the Mysteries, The Great Invocation, Word of Power, Gift of Love. The Great Invocation is a gift of love from God and a word of power for fulfilling our destiny as a species. It tells the story of who we are and why we are here through symbolism of numbers. And I want to start with this poem called The Great Invocation. How many are familiar with The Great Invocation? Oh, wow. So you'll be interested to hear this and interested to learn a little bit about this book. The Great Invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. So that's the last stanza of the Great Invocation, of the poem, The Great Invocation. So he says, coded within the beautiful words of this prayer is a consistent pattern of numeric relationships revealing a sacred message of importance for all humanity. So John took that poem and encoded or decoded the coding of the poem, and he created this book. And it's a wonderful book on the background, the history of the poem, how it came to be through the master known as D.K. or Dwakul, through Alice Bailey. I mean, there's great detail of this book, and this is not the purpose to go into this book, but this is just to give you the quality of where the man was coming from. So this was his first book. The second book he wrote, which is very interesting, called Hidden Foundations of the Great Invocation by John Berges. This book is the follow-up book to the first book, and he was under the impression that D.K. was the one that dictated or gave the Great Invocation to Alice Bailey. But lo and behold, he found through a set of circumstances that it could have been the Master R. D.K. is the letters for the Master Dwakul. Kul. He was known as the Tibetan, and he was the one that was in telepathic communication with Alice Bailey. And it's a branch of the Great White Brotherhood, or the Universal White Brotherhood, that had a specific work to do, and they're still doing. So we understand that there are many branches of the Great White Brotherhood, or the Universal White Brotherhood, with different degrees and levels of what the work is doing, what the group and the membership is doing on the planet. So that's who DK is. And there was a lineage of masters involved in, as we know, the Theosophical Society and the earth-based organizations of the Ascended Masters, and the masters working for the betterment of mankind, of humanity. So anyhow, in a series of events that took place, John came to the realization that the Master R, or Saint Germain, was very much involved in the dictation and the working of the poem, The Great Invocation. And he realized that the Master R was also involved in so they say, in the Shakespearean plays as Shakespeare, and I think Psalm 46 also. There's encoding in all of these works. So anyhow, that's what this book here is about. It's about his discovery of the fact that it wasn't actually DK, Kul, that telepathically communicated this poem to Alice Bailey, but it was probably the Master R, or Saint Germain, who also is involved in many aspects of the betterment of humanity, and in my opinion, probably even working with the Master Ivanhoff. As we know that the Master Ivanhoff works with the earth-based organizations in many different ways, uses different people to better the planet and work the plan of God. So that's a little background on John Berges. So John was invited to go to Istanbul, Turkey, to give a talk on the heart and on the 6 heart virtues, because last year was a year that they were focusing on the heart. And the group that he gave the talk to is the Unification Brotherhood. So I think that it would be probably good to start his speech, give his speech, and so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give his speech in verbatim and show the slides that he gave. So this is a speech that he gave in Istanbul, Turkey last year. Also, I just want to read, before I give the speech, the preface to the When, Which, How Practice Guidebook that John created. Quote in his preface, if our teachers have come forward at this time for anything, it is to teach us how to contact our deeper immortal self that lovingly, wisely, and patiently waits for us to use the spiritual gifts it has placed in our hearts. These gifts are the 6 heart virtues of appreciation, compassion, forgiveness, humility, understanding, and valor. These potent spiritual energies are ready to assist us if we but turn to them with a heartfelt desire to help those in need of love, light, and healing. I say we because this is fundamentally a group endeavor. The differences in our body types, our languages, our cultures, our nationalities, and our religions are the product of the space-time environment. For millennia, they have been important factors in the spiritual evolution of our planetary population. But now, a new era is opening before us, and we can transcend the differences of our forms by bonding as a lighted network of human souls. This is the beginning of a renaissance of the human spirit. It is a time like no other, a time of great spiritual opportunity. If you feel the call, if you hear a tiny voice within urging you to wake to the moment, then join us in a great adventure of the human spirit. It's wonderful for me to sing and do the prayers to the Archangel Michael. From the background of the Summit Lighthouse, the lineage that I come out of, the Archangel Michael has a son, and his son is named Unity, and his name is Micah, the angel of unity. And to me it's so appropriate because unity is so important if we're going to defeat the so-called egregore that's on the planet now, it's going to take a unity of hearts. And so there's a unity that permeates throughout all organizations, throughout the Brotherhood, the Great White Brotherhood, and religions. And that unity is manifested through the heart, the energetic heart. And that's where our connection is. And to me, that's what John knew and what John tried to put together in his life. And that's what he leaves with us, is his work of unity, bringing the different religions and aspects of the teachings of the Brotherhood together so that we can unify and work for the greater good. So it doesn't matter what belief system we're involved in, what master we're following, we're all really unified at the level of the heart. And this is what John says and talks about in his speech. Thank you, John Berges, a true spiritual genuine. I'd like to give a prayer. To have a heart as pure as crystal, a mind as luminous as the sun, a soul as vast as the universe, a spirit powerful as God, and one with God. Thank you.